Hey, welcome back to my channel, IndieAuthor Jill. Like my new haircut? I don't really care if you don't like it because I like it, so that's all that matters, right? A lot cooler. Not that that really matters right now because it's springtime in East Tennessee and it's chilly. But the warehouse I work in gets warm, so and my hair stays out of my face now, so it's great. Today we are looking at Anti-Hero Blues by Christopher Lee Rippee. And immediately I was drawn to the um, cover. But this is evidence as to why I myself cannot be a superhero because there ain't no way I'm standing on the edge of this building. That seems to be a superhero thing that like stand on top of like the tallest building on top of a gargoyle or whatever and just like look out over the city. Not doing it. Not happening. I'm afraid of heights. I don't even like those observation towers where you're completely enclosed in glass. I'm like at least 3 feet back, and it's like my husband will be looking out over the railing. He's like, "Oh, you should see this view." No, I'll take your word for it. I'm good. Also, I'm too lazy to be a superhero. Like, I just want to sit at home, drink my hot cocoa, and read my books. I don't want to save anybody. Like, that's not my job. I'm yeah, I'm not superhero material. But um, if you like the superhero, like the MCU or the what is it? Like the DC Universe movies, you're gonna like this. Um, this when they first started talking about um, I keep calling him Vanguard because I don't really Vaden. Vaden maybe? Is it Vaden? I don't know. I always called him Vanguard. I certainly can't remember his stupid superhero name like Aegis or Igus or something like that. Um, it's about as pretentious as he is. Um, but um, the Vincent Vaden, yeah. Uh, when he started describing Vincent Vaden, my immediate thought, because describes him as being this billionaire that created his own like suit, armored suit and everything. And I was like, okay, so Iron Man, but you know, and there's a lot of the characters have a lot of the similar powers as that you would find in either the DC universe or the MCU universe, and some of them have different powers altogether. Um, but Brandon, the main character, doesn't care. He hates what he calls masks, and he calls them masks because there's almost as many metahumans as there are regular humans, and so for the reason many people call them the metahumans masks is because it's easier to uh, say that than to lump them into superheroes or supervillains because some of them are superheroes, some of them are supervillains. They're very much uh they stay in those camps of, oh, there's trouble, I'm going to go save the day, and oh, there's trouble, yeah, I'm probably the one that caused it. And so you have those two groups that kind of distinguish from each other. But then you have other metahumans that are neither superheroes nor villains, that are just existing and using their powers for their own benefit. And sometimes they're in the middle of the mayhem, and sometimes they're helping out, and other times they're just keeping to themselves. So they're just for Brandon, he doesn't like any of them. He doesn't like the superheroes. He doesn't like the super villains. He doesn't like the undefined masks. He doesn't like any of them, and that mainly comes from his dad accepting a job from one of the big, powerful mafia names, and he was basically a criminal, but he was a human criminal. And one of the quote unquote superheroes that have very little concern about people's safety or lives in general he's a very reckless superhero, and his whole thing is, I will stop the bad guy in whichever way is easiest for me. And a lot of times that ends up with either severely maiming or killing the person he's going after. And so, because of this superhero that was helping, instead of just capturing him and turning him over to justice, he killed him. Um, and of course, Brandon has a resentment towards them. His mom and him had to go into hiding because his mother was afraid that the mafia would come looking for them for retribution of the father. I don't know how real that threat was, but when his uncle Marcus gets out of jail, he takes them in and promises he can protect them. So they move back to New York, and Brandon is able to get stable into a school system, but Brandon has a chip on his shoulder and likes to fight. Um, a science teacher, he writes a paper for a science project. The science teacher thought he plagiarized it and sent it to uh, a top-notch scientist that she thought could determine whether it was plagiarized or not. And what she saw was, okay, I don't think this is plagiarized. At first she thought, okay, maybe it was plagiarized, but then as she's digging through it, she's like, this wasn't plagiarized, and it's more advanced than his years, so we need to, check on him. So she kind of recommended him to Vincent Vaden, who um, uh, agreed to let him be a beneficiary of some kind of program that he had, where Brandon was able to go to a top-notch school, but again, he kept getting into fights because he was not one of the rich kids. He was not one of the elites or whatever. He was just some poor kid that the Vaden program benefited. And so he started getting into fights there. And Claire, the scientist that got him recommended to the program, um, figured out how to redirect that energy and got him into a gym where he could go fight. And so his fighting at school stopped because, well, now I have a place that I can go and fight. And as he's gotten older, he's gotten into this job at this lab, and he has figured out how to in this world, like I said, there's a lot of metahumans, but there's also aliens and Atlanteans and like werewolves. Basically, if you can imagine it, it's probably in this world. And not only that, the multiverse is at play. So there are portals where you can get in and out of these metaverses and multiverses, sorry. And you have to go through you got to find those portals, and then you have to travel to those portals, and then you can go through those portals to the different multiverses. Well, Brandon has figured out how to open up portals themselves, and it requires the use of a very volatile substance called voidrium. It um the I think it's voidrium. um I tried the first couple of times I came across the word, I tried to pronounce it. Um, but I was so captivated by this. Yeah, Voidrium is highly unstable. And but I tried to stop and learn to pronounce the word, because it's not really a complex word. It's literally the word void and rium combined, but like you get sucked into the story like right away. Um there's a lot of tech talk and a lot of science talk and a lot of he at one point he's checking his phone and he's talking about a video that he's watching, a live coverage of an attack that's going on in Australia, and he's talking to you as if you already know all of this stuff that's going on. You already know about the aliens and the Atlanteans and the werewolves and all these other things, and it's kind of refreshing because he really gives the reader the credit to catch on quickly, and it's not hard to catch on, and you're like I said, you're pulled right into the story. So some of the more complex words, or the words that are not commonplace in our English language, like Voidrium, you kind of glance over because you just want to keep going with the story. You don't want to stop to like figure out what the word is. You just like, okay, I get it. There's a highly volatile uh substance, and um it things can go wrong really quickly. Let's keep going with the story. And so I think it was like the third time I came across the word, I finally was like, okay, what is this word? And I like stopped and really looked at it, and then because you figure it's going to be important later on, and of course it is. And I made the mistake of not reading the back of the book, and if I had like the the story's predictable enough that it's predictable in a comforting way. Like you know what's going to happen. So like the experiment is going on, and you know it's going to be a pass fail. It's either going to succeed or it's going to fail. And if it succeeds, there's a good chance somebody else is going to take the credit, and Brandon is kind of going to get swept under the rug. Or it's going to result in, it's going to sound like a good thing, but it's actually going to be a bad thing. Or it's going to fail, and then you know the repercussions from that. And of course, the experiment fails. And that's, again, not a spoiler because it's on the back of the book. I didn't realize that because I didn't read the back of the book. Um, I was just excited that we were finally getting to this book because, again, look at that cover. How awesome is that? But yeah, the experiment fails, and they tell as soon as they pull Brandon aside, and they're like, "Look, it's fine that it failed. Failure happens. That's a thing." And then she tells him that we're not running the experiment again. We're done. They're pulling the Voidrium at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. As soon as she says that, you as the reader know, and again, this is on the back of the book, but you as the reader already know, oh, he has till 9 a.m. to get back in there and run the experiment again. And you know he's going to, because he's got that attitude of, I was right. I know this is going to work. I know what went wrong. And actually, he doesn't know what went wrong. Um, but he figures it out. The other thing you realize is that uh, you understand by that point that yes, something did go wrong. You know who's at fault, and you suspect that it's more than just a slight oversight. And again, that gets confirmed. And again, this is all um, a comfortable predictability. So yes, of course he sneaks in. Of course he goes back in and tries the experiment, and this time he levels the lab because he gets attacked while he's doing it. Um, and he survives the explosion, but now he is a metahuman. And again, all on the back. Um, so it's not really spoilery, but what gets you, and like this is where I have to kind of stop giving too many details, because from there's so much that happens between he's got this girlfriend that he never that she's like, I need some time and space from you because science is like so much your life that I never see you even when we're living together. He's got this other best friend V, who is like his ride or die bestie. um his mom is sick, so he has after the experiment fails, he gets an offer from Vincent Baden himself. Again, this world's Iron Man. But here's the thing that I found refreshing about Vincent Baden. He's a jerk. I despise him almost as much as Vincent, or as much as Brandon does. He's very much like Iron Man before he gets kidnapped, but imagine if he got kidnapped, made the suit, and came home and decided, okay, we're not going to make um, war machines anymore. We're not going to make weapons of mass destruction anymore, but I'm going to start making like super suits and create an army. And then I'm going to like, we're going to basically um, take over the world because the whole world is in danger and only I know how to run it well. So imagine Iron Man with a Loki complex that never gets resolved. And it's just constantly him trying to save the world by being in charge. But like his ways aren't exactly on the up and up. Uh, Even better is that he does have somebody in his camp that is still uh, very loyal to the old values of integrity, bravery, honesty, and uprightness. And Brandon, i- he basically is willing to go the distance. A lot of a lot of people who have ever played Would You Rather have had this question. And again, the question this was kind of brought up in Blackguard Saga. Would you rather die early and be known as a hero, or live a long life but be known as a villain? So, die a hero or live as a villain, which would you prefer? And the basically the only difference is the longevity of life and how you're remembered. um Brandon is perfectly fine being known as a villain, even when uh he gets to when you get to the end of the story. Um brandon very much has almost a Deadpool quote of when he turns to someone and says, "I'm no hero." But like the person he's talking to understands what he has done and knows that he's not the villain, and they're trying to convince him that he could be a hero, and he's like, "No, I've seen enough." Because when he does get his become a metahuman and he learns to grapple with his new powers, as he's figuring that out and he's getting to know the other metahumans better, he's realizing on one hand the metahumans aren't any different than the regular humans. They're all just as flawed, and some of them are good, some of them are bad, some of them are somewhere in between, and there's no right or wrong answer. But it's just one of those, you know, how do you determine who is worthy of their powers and who isn't, and who's worthy of having powers? And most of these people, they didn't ask for the powers that they've been given. They're just like him. They're learning how to harness their powers and then using them the best way they know how. But once he realizes this, he realizes that there's no such thing as a superhero, because even the heroes are not necessarily, half of them don't even know what they're doing. They're making it up as they go, just as everybody else is. And a lot of them are um have self-interests. And but the problem is that that's all just subplot, because there's a bigger issue going on. There is a uh corrupted superhero, and everybody thinks that that superhero is the end all be all, and that they're great. And Brandon's like, no, people need to know that this is not good, that this is not okay. They need to know what the end game here is. And um it's not enough to let people know, because some people are willing to listen and other people are completely oblivious. They're like, no, you're just trying to stir up trouble. You're the reason a lot of bad things have happened. And so it kind of becomes on him that, like, he's got to save the world, even if the world doesn't realize he's the one that's saving it. And he's fine with not getting credit for it. He just knows that this is not the world that I want anybody that I care about living in. So I have to protect whatever it is. So he is trying to um, get he, like I said, I don't know how much to say without how much is spoilers, because the plot twists that come, there are some, like I said, that are comfortably predictable, and then there's others that are like, oh, okay, I didn't see that coming, and like I said, I don't want to ruin it for you, because it is such a journey, and I just um I I think the back this top part here really sums it up. How do you save a world that believes you're the villain? Um, because that's one of the biggest things he runs into, is like, no matter what he's trying to do, there are people who are trying to stop him because they think he's the bad guy. So of course people are trying to stop him, and it's not just regular humans, it's other meta humans that have powers that are different than his, that can counter his powers. And again, he doesn't have full control of them yet. So, he's got to learn those powers. Um, but yeah, definitely worth a read, especially if you're interested in sci-fi, if you're interested in superheroes, if you like fast-paced adventures, high-stakes adventures, because everything is on the line here. Um, so yeah, definitely go into that. Grab this book if that's something that you're interested in. Um, this obviously this was part of the 21 connected books reading readathon challenge. I'm also putting it towards the published in 2024 book. The next prompt is the next book has to have something on the cover that is on the previous book's cover. And so I was sitting there trying to figure out, what what should I be looking for? Should I be looking for a city street? Should I be looking for a city? Should I be looking for a figure standing over a city? You know, uh there's cars going up and down, there's superheroes flying around, there's explosions. So like, which do you pick out? And so I was looking through the books that I have on my shelf and came up with Discipline by Mark Avery. Uh as you can see, a guy standing over a city. And this one is a thriller. And this is another one that I was interested in getting to. I actually follow Mark Avery closely on Threads. Um, I absolutely enjoy his taco adventures. Uh, that being said, my books are trying to attack me. Hang on a minute. Um, that being said, I do need to find a new bookmark, because I have these like spiritual Bible quote um ones. I have a monkey around here somewhere, but I don't think that works. I need a taco. I definitely, because of his to honor his taco adventures, I need to find a taco bookmark for this one. Um but that'll be the next book, and I will see you guys later. Right now this is going to be the I don't know what else this is going to end up um qualifying for, since I'm doubling up. But uh first thing is the readathon. The cover has the same thing as the previous cover. I'll figure out what the double up is after I'm done reading it and see what works. um that's all I've got for you guys today. Don't forget to like and share and comment Um, hit the notification bell. For your question of the video, uh, who is your favorite superhero? For me, mine is and always has been Superman. Yeah, the Superman. All right, bye.